Hey, did you hear? Sailor Moon infiltrated NASA. They don't fool me. They were going to cover up the photos that they were going to take of the Silver Millennium. I'm on to them. Well, hello, my dear resin monkeys. What's that? You can't believe I'm uploading another video? Well, you know I'm full of surprises, especially starting this year. Now, before we start, I would like to thank each and every one of you that took your 5 minutes to fill out my audience survey from the last video. I receive a lot of insightful information, requests, and ideas so that I can get started in bringing you more content in between these long videos that you so lovingly enjoy. One of these ideas was to bring constructive criticism to those that are starting in the hobby. Now, I make it a point to never ever say anything to anyone unless they ask me to. I think it's really bad form to critique someone's work if they didn't ask for it, so I have kept it zipped all through the time. But I think this is a really great opportunity for you that you're starting in the hobby that would like to maybe have actual constructive criticism from a veteran of 20 years and give you pointers on where you can improve for your next project. I'm thinking of making this a monthly or bi-monthly video where I get together work from several of you and come on camera and show the people your work and point out the good things and the things you can improve from your work in general. I will be publishing a submission form over on my community tab and my socials in case you want to participate in these videos. Be sure to keep an eye out if you want to send out your submission. Last year, I published a video where I showed the entirety of my collection of unpainted figures, and I told you, tell me which one of these would you like me to paint, and oh my god, did I receive a lot of feedback. There were a lot of screams for particular characters, but I also got a lot of requests and basically people begging me to paint the outer senshi. Now, unfortunately, 1Z hasn't continued with his Senshi Princess line. I do believe the outer Senshi were up next. We don't know if he will continue or if he will ever finish them anytime soon. So I thought, why don't I paint the next best thing? Usually when I do really complex or complicated projects, I like to unwind, take a break from the madness and just the sheer lunacy of some things that happen in between those projects. I like to do something simple. And for me, something simple tends to be very old school. I mean, very, very old school stuff here. Doing simpler projects help with burnout, believe it or not. So what better than to finally paint a figure that I've been dying to paint for the better part of 20 years. I've gotten several requests to paint a dark or a tan skin character in the past. So this is me basically doing a two birds, one stone thing where I paint a figure that a lot of you requested and also do something that a lot of other yous requested. So this means starting with Sailor Pluto. But if you follow me on socials, you know that she's not the only one that got painted. However, she will be the first. She is one of my favorite outer senshi, and this kit is my favorite of hers by far. I'm really excited to finally get to do this, so enough yapping, let's get started. As always, we first need to start by cleaning out our very, very dated and vintage kit that is definitely not making me realize how old I am. It doesn't matter how many years a kit has, it's best to clean it to avoid any paint stripping down the line due to any residual mold release, even if it's old mold release. I don't really have a preference for cleaning solutions, so this time I just use some simple green to do the job. Before I start with the pinning, I need to free the clear parts from their transparent prison, which is just a big chunk of flash around them. She also has a lot of little tabs and flash on the rest of the parts. It's easy to remove with some nippers and my ultrasonic cutter as of lately. It's super satisfying to remove all those tabs, not to mention how delicious and nostalgic vintage resin smells like. Oh, I just want to eat it all. Interestingly enough, her tiara was fully casted in clear resin just for the purposes of that little gem on there. Once that was finished, I could now proceed with pinning the parts. Working with these old Sailor Moon kits really throw me back to when I started working on GKs many years ago, to the point of feeling extremely nostalgic, like, fuck, has it really been 20 years already? You know, I don't care. It's gonna be another 20 years from now and I will still be working and painting with more Sailor Moon kits, probably from this era. Mark my words. From the resin smell to the old school connection keys, I'm actually having a blast working on something less complex after so many previous projects, but this is still challenging to a certain extent, which keeps the fun in this project. Pinning her to a base takes a little thinking, mainly due to the very limited area to insert the pin through, since I don't really want to insert it through the heel. So I'm making sure to measure how deep I can drill through as to not go through the foot. Now here's where we encounter our first little real problem. Her bow pieces didn't have any connection keys and I'm not about to glue these parts to her bare chest once painted. So we're going to fix that a little down the line. Her little sailor thingy wasn't laying flush against her chest, but a simple and quick fix to that is heat bending to put it back into the position where I need it. Alrighty, let's get to the part that apparently lots of people love for some odd reason, and that's forbidden yellow mustard time. Kits this old tend to have poor keying and fitting, and to have the putty have more area to stick to so it won't fall off, I carve grooves on those connections. They also work as a support for those existing wannabe keys. Apologies, I kind of forgot I was filming this part, so just enjoy me taking a little bits of mustard from my desk. You know, current kits are mainly done with 3D modeling. The art of hand sculpting is fading away, so it has its charm to work on kits like these because even though they might be full of imperfections, it's still awesome to work with something that was handmade by someone else, even if it was 20 years ago. Fixing those imperfections is part of the challenge to make it look as perfect as one can muster. These kits also basically trained me to look for all these imperfections on current kits and fix them. We're talking gaps, we're talking seam lines, we're talking anything that doesn't look right to the eye. People think, oh, why'd you do that? You don't really necessarily need to do that. Why do you fill gaps? Like, I don't see anybody else doing it. Like, all these Japanese modelers just put some glue on and that's it. Yeah, I get it. But these Japanese modelers were not doing this 20 years ago, probably, at least new generations. So they're just cutting corners to get things done faster, I guess. And that's not me. I really like to take my time in doing stuff like this so that I know my figure will have a lot of stability. And not only that, it gives me the satisfaction to know that I did things the right way, which is the old-fashioned way, apparently. an old-fashioned way that I learned from old-fashioned Japanese models from 20 years ago. So yeah, I'm still keeping everything alive apparently. Let's focus on those bow parts. I had previously printed these tiny squares long ago to use them as connection keys. So I took them out and put them to good use. Now that our keys were glued, it was time to make the sockets. And for that, we're gonna do a little bit of modding. But before we do the sockets, let's do a little bit of chest surgery. I've always loved this sculpt, but dear God, those could poke an eye out. You can clearly see she was done by a guy, but that doesn't mean that we need to keep things as they are. We can change things to our preference. She will still be boobalicious, but at least she won't leave you blind. I get that many of you will be asking why she looks like this and not like the anime. Well, let me tell you something about having a style. Many sculptors and circles or groups had their own. I personally love this group's way of doing Sailor Moon kits. Amy Grant is still doing them, but they're quite different from before, and they just don't hit the same way, so I tend to just stick to their old school stuff. So she might have different proportions from how she looks like in the anime, but that's what makes her special, not to mention how dynamic she is. The bow still needed a bit more adjusting, so this was round 2 of putty work. She did include a gem for the bow, but honestly, I didn't want it to be see-through on the back. I opted to change that to one of my capuchons that I have in stock. It's a flat back and reflective, so a gem effect will look very nice on this. Once the gem was installed, I had to readjust the inner parts of the bow with more putty as to not leave any gaps. I don't like working with clear resin sometimes because it's super hard to locate seam lines, so I have to rely on my fingers to feel and sand it on the spot. So it's a lot of trial and error here. Also the fact that I not only need to sand but polish the piece so that it won't leave any scratches on the surface. All right, let's add the primer to see what we will actually be working with as far as imperfections on seam lines go. And Jesus Christ on a pogo stick, did the primer really bring out all of that? I used to sand first and then prime second, but that would basically end up in me having to re-sand what I thought I sanded off, only to realize that I couldn't really see everything. So I just jump into priming first and then sand because it's easier to see where I'm going here. Plus it saves time. And holy shit did I need to bring out all of my sanding toys for this one. From my pen sander to scraping to sponge sanding, you name it, I probably used it. Depending on the area I'm sanding and how bad the seam is, I'll usually pick the tool that will do it fastest or pick others that will go slow to not mess the detail around that seam line. Then I just usually finish off by sanding with a 400 to 500 grit sandpaper or sponge to make it not scratchy. Basically, make sure there are no leftover scratches from the previous sanding. The skirt was the worst offender of all the parts. The seam lines went over every single pleat, so this one took way longer to sand and polish, inside and out, might I add. And if you think that was bad, the hair will be another close second to how bad the sanding time will be on this. Also, something important that I need to note is that most of these kits were done by amateurs back in the day. And even this is the work of an amateur. It's really well done, but there's still some stuff that you could say that they could have worked on a little bit more. I basically pretty much went and re-grind and sanded in between all the hair strands and partings here. But you know, it is what it is. We didn't have a lot of things 20 years ago. So all the fans just would get together and do something for the fans. That's how GKs started, in case nobody here knows the story or the history of how GKs came to be. It was just basically fans wanting to have figures of their favorite characters so that they can share it with other fans. So amateur sculptors were born this way. Unfortunately, there were a lot of uneven scratches and grooves left from the sculpting. If I had to describe it, I'd say it's pretty rustic, quote unquote. It's like they didn't even want to spend a lot of time sanding the details on the surface and said, meh, good enough. Let the poor sucker painting deal with it. Or in this case, this poor sucker. There was a seam on the leg that was pretty uneven and deep. I didn't want to scrape it off and risk flattening that area. So I took some CA glue and filled it up and then sanded it off. All right, with all the sanding done, we can now re-prime to see if I missed a spot somewhere by any chance. Oh dear God, did I ever? Okay, it's not all me. The sculpt finish is very uneven on certain parts, so that just means more sanding. And some more sanding. And then realizing that the whole hair is just bad, like so bad. I mean, I could leave it like that, but it would bother me so much to see so many uneven portions on the surface that it would drive me crazy. So why not preemptively go crazy now by doing another round of sanding so I won't go crazy later. That took a hot minute. There can't be more than that. Yes, it can. Did I say the skirt was the worst? Nah, I take it back. I'm having a really bad hair day. I know I said these kids had their charm with their imperfections, but this is ridiculous. But we are veterans here. We deal with shit like this and worse. We know what to do. And that is mustard time. Fortunately for me, this was the last round of sanding because the putty did the trick. So I guess it's true what they say, third time's a charm, and just one level below full-blown madness. Okay, all right, let's get to the fun part. I'll start by adding the main color I'll be using on most of her parts for pre-shading and the base color, which is just black. Okay, so I've only ever painted darker skin like twice, and it was a millennia ago, and I haven't tried it since. So this is a good opportunity to use these darker skin color tone paints I got some time back from Mr. Javi Lychee's line. I think that's how you pronounce it, Lychee's. I don't know. I still don't know how to pronounce it. Now, before anybody starts going off in the comments on the level of tan that they believe Pluto should have, let me just say that her skin color was very inconsistent through the anime and even the manga. So I believe there's no right way to color her. I'm looking for a tone that I particularly have in mind, which is not too dark, but not too fair. Unfortunately, the color of this paint was extremely dark for what I was looking for her, and I was honestly not convinced. Again, before I see you typing in the comments, stop it, okay? If you don't like where this is going and you wanted her to be darker, I'm gonna stop you right there and ask you to continue watching. I feel that her skin color will depend entirely on a person's preference, precisely due to the inconsistency she had in the anime. If you don't like how she looks in the end, then that's a you problem. And if you have that problem, then paint your goddamn own with the tone of your choice and zip it. I will, however, in the near future, paint a dark skin character, but I don't feel confident right now to do it because I need to practice first, so be patient. We'll get there. You'll get to see me paint a dark character sometime later in the year. It doesn't look like that much in the video, but the color is way darker in person. So basically, I just stripped it off and started over again. I've seen some articles in the past on how certain artists get a tan look when they're doing figures with bikini lines. I thought I'd give that a try and see what result I'd get if I use it on the entire body. First, I used Gaia Notes Surfaces Primer Mix, so we're basically starting like normal. I read that you could use either blue or purple for this, so I choose purple, and I did 2 coats. It did look funky and not at all tanned, but this is one of those times that you need to trust the process, or in this case, make it up as you go because this was not in the instructions. The next step I did was cover everything with regular Notes Flesh that I used, but only doing light layers. I think I did 2 or 3 layers, but very, very diluted. It was now going somewhere, but still not there. I took the same clear brown from the start and used it to shade and then blend with an equal layer on everything. And that's when I finally got the tone I wanted. And yes, there's a huge difference between normal skin color and the one I just made. Here's a comparison using a part from a different kit I painted for your reference and comparison. You see, there's a difference. I've always seen Pluto with a light tan skin, and I'm very happy with this result. And I'm sorry if you're not. I don't care. Paint your own. Now it was just time to continue to paint the rest of the parts. The hair has a really dark green color. I don't want it to look too green or just really black, so I'll leave the green in mostly as a highlight and add a very, very dark green mix for the shadows. Not exactly black, just really dark green. I'd say really dark forest green. I've always loved Pluto's Fuku because she was the only one with a black skirt, and it makes her look really elegant and mature. And to highlight black, we're going back to our good old Mr. Crystal Clear Sapphire Blue for the job. Getting the color for the bows was also a challenge because they look like they're black, but they're actually an extremely dark burgundy. So I basically experimented and layered colors on top until I found the best result I wanted. Starting with black pre-shadings, then added a dark brown red, and then I added a coat of clear cyan, and I think I was able to get the right tone after that combo. Let's do chrome on her staff because it looks cool, and some gunmetal for shadings. And finally, doing clear red for the clear parts. Let's do some pastels on her to define some areas just a bit more, particularly on her skin and her hair. Since the tiara is detached, I made sure to put it back on so I can see where the edges meet on her forehead, and I can know exactly where to shade and where it needs it. And since I don't really do airbrushed shadows on white, let's do them with pastels instead. I love that I have full control over where I place them that way. And like always, we now proceed with masking. It's not that complicated this time around, so let's just do a quick round of it. Let's not forget our ceremonial placement of our Sailor Moon Museum exclusive masking tape that I so lovingly purchased when I visited, and I said that I use it on every single Sailor Moon kit until I run out of it. That will be the day I stop flexing. Before I mask the skin, I needed to remove that dark overspray on her fuku. No matter how much white you apply over the color, it will always show up. So instead of a hard strip with thinner, I opted to buff it out with a 600 and then an 800 sanding sponge. This was faster and more controlled had I used thinner and risked damaging the paint that I didn't want removed. And finally, let's just do a ton of liquid masking on the clear parts because, yeah, pain in the ass to mask a sphere. Yes, faster. With the masking ready, we can now continue painting the rest of the white parts. I love to paint over with a layer of pearl white to help distinguish the type of fabric that the fuku has. Sealing pearl with semi-gloss makes it look like a satin fabric, and that's my go-to for all my Sailor Senshi.
I hate it when I see Sailor Moon figures and they're all super glossy. I don't know what it is, but it makes them look cheap. I just can't do gloss on clothes unless they're, let's say, vinyl or latex, or in this case, her boots. Her boots should be really shiny. I did some early unmasking to see if I had clean edges before applying that gloss to the boots, and only one had that clean edge. The other one needed some touch-ups, so I just made sure to do high gloss seal on that one and leave the other one for later. And let's not forget to finish painting the talisman on her staff. Let's quickly touch up that edge in high gloss seal so we can start to unmask everything else. So far, so good. Unfortunately, we had a little stripping incident. It's not that bad because it's on the neck where you can hardly notice it, especially because the sailor thingy covers most of it, but we're still going to do a spot touch-up for good measure. Now that the gloves were painted, I could now mask them off to paint the rest of the little black decorations on her elbows. And finally, doing just gold for her tiara. Let's quickly remove the remaining of the masking and put everything aside. Trying to remove the liquid masking from the staff was hard because I didn't want to smudge the chrome paint, and I was trying to be really careful.
Where did you get this? Who taught you how to use this thing? You, all right? I learned from watching you!
No!
Damn it, Billy. Mother, this is a good thing.
But I guess I added a little bit too much gloss to it because the damn glove smudged a little bit on the surface. Ah! It's okay. My ego was the only thing that suffered here. I just buffed that smudge off with a 1000 grit sponge and reapplied some gloss all over again and made it look like it never happened. So nothing to see here. I also buffed off a little bit of overspray on the chest. It was really quick and I just did it in like a couple minutes. Detailing those lines on the gloves, fuku, and the boots where needed. And let's finish off her talisman by painting the gold accents on it. Let's do her face. I'm using the good old enamel over lacquer technique to paint it, but this time I did it a little different in the order of things, but you'll get the gist. The only difference now is that I ended up painting her irises with the airbrush, and I masked the edges so I won't have a lot of cleaning up to do. I did use the enamel paint for that, so in case you're wondering, it was an easy clean. As always, I want to take this moment to thank my VIP monkeys over on Patreon, along with all the people you see scrolling on your screen right now. It's because of their amazing support that the lights on my workshop stay on. And the least I can do is give a shout out to Nastin, Agent Ayu, Aisha Lee, Gas Queen, Brandy Hicks, Cannoli Rose, Evelyn Cole, Rain Crystal, Connorworks, Nita King, Elizabeth Romero, Seti, Jasmine Magler, KL Mir, Catriella, Sam Ash, Kiki, Kyoya Uchi, Kyoki, Blach, Ishmi, Mr. Alsamosity, Shisei the Lanny, Anna Milker, Michael McWallen, Pocketlint, Moonlight K54, Meowmix Cat, Pikachica, Noko, Tornado Sky, Low-Key Kitten, Roger Lloyd, Sage Rosado, Dragon Riding, Kimchi Collector, SK Lamfer, Stephanie, Allison Metallium, Muffin and Zeko, I Muse, Chaos Kitty, and Zafiel. Consider becoming a patron. I'm about to revamp the tier system over there and give more perks. We're working on exclusive spicy figures over there for the girlies, if that's what you're into. Take a peek. We have two very handsome, long, pretty hair boys that are about to come to life. And if you would like exclusive tutorials and behind the scenes, that would be the place to be. We also have a nice little Discord community where we're super chill, and I hang out there personally because I love to interact with everybody there. And I couldn't pass on the opportunity to give her some blush. When the face was done, all that was left was her choker. And there we have it, a gorgeous Sailor Pluto face. Now for the base. I got a little help from Atomstack. I was contacted by them to try out their Atomstack Swift 12-watt laser engraver and cutter for this project. I have never used one of these before, but apparently you can cut many things with it, including wood and even acrylic. It's a great little starter engraver with a 300 by 300 millimeter working area. So I got really excited with what I could do with this. I did several tests and cut some basswood and black acrylic with really good results. So I thought, why not make a base to be simple but elegant using both of these materials? I didn't know much on how to make the patterns for a simple box, but I found this website called boxes.pv where you can make your own custom pattern for a lot of things, including boxes that I basically customized into a base. Once I had my design patterns, I popped them into the Atomstack app and placed them on the working area layout. It took me a little bit to understand how to use the software, especially where the laser is placed on the surface of the cutting area. But once you know the basics, you can do a lot of things with it. But all I needed this time was just cutting. I uploaded a short a little while back with a little unboxing in case you're curious to see how that went. I'll leave that link in the description box for you. When I was ready, I hit the start and made sure to not only turn on my room extractor at full speed, but also stretch the fan I usually use for sanding and place it right next to the machine because this thing will release a ton of fumes. And sorry if you heard a little bell, my cat is being extremely clingy and he was demanding my attention, so I had to have him here while I was recording. I'm very sorry about that. Tell the people, why are you clingy? Why? Oh gosh. If you're gonna jump, jump. Come on. Dale. Jump. Yeah, this is what I have to deal with. Sorry. Whenever I'm recording audio, I'm sorry. This cat is just too clingy. Kirito. Look at him. Look at him. Yes. So I had to have a really good ventilated area on top of using a face mask and special glasses to be able to look when it's cutting because this is a laser and you could go blind if you look at it directly and I wasn't going to risk it. I was just sent this machine, but I had to personally buy the honeycomb mat as well as those glasses because it's not something that's included in the box, which honestly I would have appreciated if they had at least included the glasses, since this is an entry-level engraver for people completely new to it like me, and I didn't know that I needed these glasses until I saw people pointing that out online. This machine is very cool, although I do need to specify that this is a blue diode laser. So it is a little limited in the types of things that can cut, particularly the acrylic. You can only cut black acrylic with it. Once you dial in your settings for cutting the different materials you want to use, it's very easy to manage. But again, the ventilation will be extremely important, especially for cutting that acrylic, because it's carcinogenic. Once I had my pattern cut, all I needed to do was just put it together. I also cut the black acrylic off camera just for the top of the base. I didn't like that the edges on the acrylic were less clean than the wood, but you really can't ask for much here because the laser is basically melting the acrylic to be able to cut it. It's something to keep in mind when cutting any type of material. If you've been wanting to get yourself into the laser engraving scene, I think this is a good starter point. I myself had never used one of these machines, and this was fairly easy to use once you get the basics down for the software. It was fairly easy to manage and navigate afterwards. If you're just looking to cut or engrave simple things, I haven't really tested it on others because this is what I honestly just needed. But hey, maybe you have other things you'd like to cut or engrave, and this could be a great little machine to start with. I have a link for you down below in the description, along with a nice discount code just for watching. So be sure to check it out and let me know what you think of it and show me what you do, because I am planning on using this machine to do something else, but for my actual work area, I might do a video in the future showing how I make a custom workstation for my desk where I can put on my tools and materials for easy access and more organization. Let me know if that'd be something that would interest you to watch. I'll be sure to film the whole process and adventure for you to enjoy, I guess, and maybe get ideas for your own custom workstation if you're gonna buy this laser cutter. What I am going for is a simple light up base. I made sure to leave an entry to fit the switch in and place some LEDs in there. When I tried to put the parts together, they wouldn't really fit. I needed a lot of force to do it, so instead of accidentally breaking them, I just sanded the edges on the connections a little and they fit perfectly after that. I don't know if I needed to make adjustments when I was doing the pattern because I do know that when you cut the material, there is a loss there of surface on the edge. I don't know how to explain it exactly, but I do know that you need to make adjustments, so that maybe that was me. I want to be able to remove that acrylic top in case the LED ever gives out, so the top will work as a lid. In order to keep it from falling in, I need to put some supports to have it sustained, so I cut some rectangles to match the height of the walls minus the thickness of the acrylic sheet so that it can be flush to the top. When that was ready, all I needed to do was just patch up the rough connections with some wood filler, sand it, prime it, and paint it black. And now it was just a matter of making sure the light worked, which it did. So I then just popped into Tinkercad and designed a file for Pluto's planet symbol. Printed it in clear resin and painted it with clear burgundy. Now, I'm very sorry I don't have this footage. I kinda was running out of time and I didn't have the foresight to put the camera on when I was doing it. So, and also my printer failed to record the time lapse. So I am very sorry. Just imagine me like any other time printing and painting shit. It's just simple. It's just simple. You didn't miss anything. This will be placed on the top so it will light up, completing the entire look. And with all that, we can call this lady done.
As always, I hope you enjoyed this figure and this project overall. Even if this was a simple character and somewhat of a simpler kit, setting aside all the issues she had with the hair and the skirt, I think the challenge lied in getting that tan skin tone just right. And I'm actually really happy with how she turned out. And I hope you enjoyed how she turned out. And if you didn't, well, you know where to take that complaint, because nobody's gonna hear it here. Remember that I have my socials available everywhere if you want to follow me there. Check out the community tab for the submission form, or just sign up or join up for my newsletter. If you're not on socials or if you don't check the community tab that often, my newsletter will be coming out soon, and that information will be available there too. That way you get an email straight to your inbox and you won't miss on the opportunity to send your submission in and have a chance to be featured in one of these videos. If you like what you saw, remember that the like button is down there somewhere on the screen. I know it's really ridiculous to keep saying it, but apparently it works. It also works when I say, hey, if you like what you saw today, and if you like the whole shenanigans and 90s nostalgia, subscribe. Doesn't cost you a cent. It only costs you the effort to move your mouse or your finger down to the button. Do it now. Thank you. Much appreciated. If you've made it this far, leave me a purple planet emoji down in the comments and let me know what you thought of this project. I love reading your comments. You leave one of the most funniest things that I ever read, and I literally cackle every time I read them. So please keep them coming. I love to read them. So until next time, my dear resin monkeys, keep your eyes peeled. Don't let them get to you.